back at WNST. Tell more, be more positive community stories and tales and charities here in the Charm City. It's all brought to you by our friends at Howard Bank, a relentless commitment to being the best at everything they do, as well as our pals at Cole Roofing, working together in our Be More Positive series. You hear about them here at WNST, underwriting all the good work we're doing and giving us a chance to spotlight charities and local charities and cool stories. If you've got a cool story, you can email me, nasty@WNST.net. We feature them on Thursday mornings. It's my own little personal church and something that I'm doing to give back to the community and featuring all these chats at WNST.net under the hashtag Be More Positive. Amy Taubenfeld, she runs Itineris, and I am not familiar at all with Itineris, which is one of the really cool parts of this because we featured Show Your Soft Side, and I've learned a little bit more about St. Ursula's, and I'm very familiar with the MDA and our dear friends at Jerry's Auto Group, but I don't know much about Itineris. First off, welcome in, Amy Taubenfeld, and in the era of LinkedIn, I look down and I hit you and say, oh, we have 41 links in common. We're kind of all in it together here, and I saw autism, I saw local, I saw an event. Usually I like to promote these things way in advance, but your event is coming up, so it's even more important that we tell people it's Saturday night. Come on out. It's April 14th. Come on out, a Hot Night for Autism. We're doing good tasks and good deeds. I've known many, many people with autism and in and around the autistic community and parents of autistic children. You're doing great work out there, Amy.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having us.
Well, tell me about a Hot Night for Autism and tell me where the funds go and your background in all of this. I want to learn about Itineris.
So Itineris is an adult autism provider. We work with young adults 21 and older who have exited the school system, and we are a work-first agency dedicated to assisting our clients in matching their ideal hopes and dreams for what they want to do in their future with an employer so that we can get them out in the workforce.
You know, I had Coach Barry Trotz on talking about Best Buddies a couple of weeks ago, went into great detail, his son, and, you know, he was kind of shocked that 20 years ago there weren't organizations out helping people, and I guess autism is one of those things that, as a person in the 70s, I guess maybe the term was coined, but I didn't know what it meant. And I guess growing up in the 80s in Dundalk, I'm sure there were autistic people that weren't called as such at that point. I don't know that terminology existed 30 years ago for what I would know autism to be. I guess my first throw around with autism, and before the internet, before you could look it up, or you'd have to go to the library or wait for a segment on the local news or on PBS or something on what it. I think it's still very hard. I could sit here for an hour and probably talk about it, never really define it. But now having come in contact with so many autistic people and parents and resources, I remember B.J. Surhoff, covering baseball 20, 25 years ago, he and his wife Polly, and coming to Baltimore. This is when I first it came onto my radar as something I wanted to learn a little bit more about. But I would say that most of the population is not so aware of what autism is and the spectrum and how wide a range of function there can be for autistic people.
Well, that's very true. And Polly and BJ and Pathfinders for Autism were the first organization really in Baltimore that was dedicated to becoming a resource for families who didn't know where to turn.
So I'm not wrong that in the 80s, you would have walked around and said autism, nobody would have known what you're talking about, right?
That's very true. And even in the 90s, my daughter was born in 1990, and for the first 5 years of her life, we could not get a clear diagnosis of autism. There was very little resources for where to go. We just kept going from doctor to doctor.
Did the government just not do a lot on this? Were we busy in the 50s and 60s with Russia and trying to get to the moon, literally, that it just was not a studied thing? It really feels like it kind of came late to the game where, let's say, I'm going to have Bill Bolander on a little later about muscular dystrophy. Everybody knew about that because Jerry Lewis was doing something about it in 1975, right? Like, I just think part of this has been a spotlight of when these things come along because autism's so prevalent. I'm almost embarrassed to say I was 25 years old, and the only reason I knew about it was because a baseball player sort of shined light on it 25 years ago. It's kind of weird to look back on it in that way, you know?
Well, that's true, and I think for a lot of the families that have children in my year, there was no internet. There was no way for families to connect other than through autism support groups and meetings, and that's where you were getting most of your information.
Community groups, book clubs, essentially for people that were in the struggle, right?
That is correct. Yes, parents were starting parent groups, and that's what was happening.
And I guess then chat rooms started to happen, and I guess the internet did happen at that point in AOL, and that's how people found people back in the 1990s. Amy Taubenfeld, you are the executive director of Itineris. Tell everybody again about Itineris, where you're located, how they can get involved. And listen, everyone's trying to do an event. We've done millions of events here at WNST over 27 years. Your Hot Night for Autism it's not coming up. It's here. It's Saturday night. We're a little late to the game at the Point at Rockrose. Tell everybody where that is and how folks can get involved on Saturday night. Come out and do a good turn and have a great night out. And I hear the weather's going to be nice on Saturday, Amy.
We are so excited about that. So our event is this Saturday from 7 p.m. until 11 p.m. It is at our offices in our building called the Point at Rockrose. We are at 2050 Rockrose Avenue. We literally are on Television Hill right next door to WBAL TV. So everyone in Baltimore, I'm sure, knows where TV Hill is.
Well, everybody can see the top of it. There's no doubt about that from wherever you are.
They sure can. Right by the Triple Tower.
Look for the red lights.
That's right. And our event is a live and silent auction. We have excellent food coming from Rouge Catering. We're super excited about this.
Tasty.
And this year we are actually honoring our very first family, which is Adam, one of our young adults who has been with us now for almost 8 years. And he and his family will be the honorees this year, and we're super excited to share our event with Adam and the journey that the other 85 of our young adults who are with us now have been going on for the last 8 years.
Everywhere we go, we do these kinds of events, and we walk in now, and my wife being a 2-time leukemia survivor, sort of famously, and we say, for our charity, for There Goes My Hero, for the things we do for leukemia, it's like, oh, there are people here who live because of this, or are living better because of this, or functioning better because of this, and this is a happy story. These events, when you do have something you can say 8 years later, look at what we've done, look at the progress we've made out of nothing, out of a seed, out of a thought. I think that that's the inspiring part of having an event, of having a celebration. I think it's important for every charity group to have a night like that.
I think so, too, and I think when we talk about parents, Itineris is completely a parent-driven organization. We were started our organization because we were filling a gap. There was no individual program specifically dedicated to adults with autism in the greater Baltimore region, and we saw that need and decided to create this program. What we have found is that with autism in general, there's about a 20% employment rate for people on the autism spectrum. And our programming we are right now at about 52 to 54% of our young adults are in paid competitive integrated employment. And that's really something that's critical for our young adults.
Great stories and stories of hope and success and cheering on these folks. They are Itineris. You can get involved. Go to Itineris. That's ITINERIS, Baltimore.org. Their story will be told on Saturday night. You can learn more out at the website there, as well as the Hot Night for Autism. And, you call it a hot night, and we're going to get an 80-degree day. How about that, huh?
That's amazing. We're super excited about the weather.
Well, I know it's always dodgy this time of year. Hey, keep up the great work. Next year we'll get in on this a little bit earlier on. Anything else coming up in the calendar into the future we could tell people about and how they can get involved? And if you know someone let's say I know someone who has a child. Do you want to hear from them? You want an email inbound as part of that community and growing that community, Amy?
We are always happy to talk to any family that feels that they need our services. We are happy to make referrals. We're happy to work with families individually. So we are here to help. We are a resource for families with autism, and we're here to stay.
Well, I hit you on LinkedIn, so you're stuck with me now, Amy. You, me,
Great.
And all 41 of our connections. Keep up the great work out there. I appreciate you getting out of bed and celebrating our Be More Positive community and charity series. We don't have enough good stories, and people like you get up every day to do good stuff. I want to make sure we're throwing a spotlight on that. We hope everybody gets out on Saturday night, and I'm sure the food's going to be great. Give a wink to the folks at Rouge Catering for us as well. Appreciate that. We've eaten their food many times.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having us.
You got it. Amy Taubenfeld from Itineris. I was hoping I was pronouncing all that right. Itineris. Go help those folks with autism get employed and get out in the workplace and do good deeds. We're all in it together, as we say. Our friends at Howard Bank know that. A relentless commitment to being the best at everything they do. Every person at Howard Bank empowered to help you. They're popping up all over the place. Mary Ann's talking arts, too. I'm digging it. Also, Cole Roofing. Billy Cole joins me each and every week. We threw around some thoughts about an empty Camden Yards and what that means for the community and how to change that earlier in the week. The Be More Positive Community and Charity Series featuring Itineris as well as muscular dystrophy, Show Your Soft Side, and St. Ursula's School and their golf tournament this week here. It's all brought to you by Howard Bank and Cole Roofing. And I have props on our YouTube, WNSTV channel, our Facebook Live. Nasty at WNST.net if you want your 501c3 spotlighted here at WNST.net. Next week, I'm going to promise to shave. It just didn't happen, man. It's not a Caps playoff thing. I promise you, it's not. Wish it were. It's just itchy and it's early. I am Nestor. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook Live. And when we're not talking sports, we're trying to do some good stuff around here. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.